Hello and welcome to this movie explaining the future of Sector 15. The mod's currently grown a bit bigger than I expected at first. I just wanted to make a mod that made ships attack me, but right now it's gotten a lot bigger. In this movie I will explain the things that are happening, that will be happening, and when to expect them. Currently there are 3 teams working on this mod. The first team is the core team. They write the scripts used by the mod to control the ships and stations, control when the AI spawns in enemy ships, and determine when the player is game over. The second team is the content team. They're creating the ships and stations that actually spawn into the game. The last team is the design team. They're creating custom blocks needed for the mod. An example of one of these blocks would be the firewall. So instead of renaming a already existing block, you will get a special kind of thing you can create that will serve as your firewall. Over the next few weeks, the core team will try to develop the following features. In version 0.15, the core team will try to introduce a custom AI for each ship type, so battleships will behave differently from cruisers and so on. They will also try to release the self-destruct system, meaning that an enemy ship will try to destroy itself if it's almost dead. In version 0.1.6, the core team will release the decoy system. This means that the player can use decoy blocks to have the AI chasing ghosts. This is especially handy when an enemy ballistic missile is inbound. Each AI will behave differently when it spots a decoy block. Some might completely ignore it, others might start chasing it like idiots. In version 0.1.7, the core team will implement the incursion system. This means that the mod will no longer spawn ships and missiles randomly into space, but it will deploy stations. These stations will then build the ships and missiles that they are intended to create. In this version, the core team will also release the state and resource system. These are quite complex, so we'll look at those now. In this table you can see the setup of the state system. There are 7 states within this mod. State 0 is before you entered /start. This means you're completely safe and you can build up the base in any way you like. As soon as you type /start, the game will escalate to state 1. In state 1 you see that the AI can start spawning in frigate stations. Frigates are the smallest ships in this mod, so they're not very dangerous, but for low level bases they're still quite challenging to destroy. Once a player notices that there is an enemy station somewhere in the system, he can set out to destroy it. It's actually recommended to do so, as every station the AI owns will gain the AI resources. On default, each station has 1 building slot the AI can use to build a ship from, and in total it has 1 extra building slot it can be used to build another station. But the AI will need the resources to do so it can never really have all building slots running at once unless it gets enough stations. If a player destroys a station, the AI will of course lose the resource bonus given from that station and the building slot supplied by that station. If the AI however gains enough money, it can escalate to state 2. This means it can build a destroyer station. These ships are slightly bigger than frigates and pose a bigger challenge for the player. State 2 stations also supply the AI with a bigger resource bonus, so it's smart to destroy higher level stations first, although they have bigger defenses, so the player will need a bigger fleet to destroy it. If the AI then gains enough money, it can escalate to state 3. In state 3 it can build ballistics and logistics stations. A ballistic station can build missiles that will attack the player's base. A logistics station is basically a defended structure that will give the AI a resource bonus. After stage 3, the AI can obviously go to stage 4. At this point it can build cruiser shipyards. Cruisers are bigger ships than destroyers and are usually heavily armored, so they pose a bigger challenge for the player. Also, their construction shipyard gives a bigger resource bonus to the AI and they're quite heavily defended. State 5 will give the AI access to big ballistic weapons. These are basically the same as the small logistic weapons, only built with bigger blocks and more warheads inside. Eventually the AI will be able to escalate to state 6. In state 6 it can build ECM and large logistic stations. The large logistic stations are the same as the small ones, they only give a bigger resource bonus and have more defenses. An ECM station is an update for all enemy ships and unlocks the ECM ability of that ship. Examples of these are the EMP bills, a magnetic storm, tractor beams and other very annoying things against the player. The AI can only have one ECM station at a time, and an ECM station does not give any resource bonus or build slot. The last escalation level is stage 7. In this state, the AI can build battleships, and if it really has enough resources, a capital ship. Capital ships are more or less game enders, as they are ginormous and kind of rip through every base if you do not have very heavy defenses. For an AI to build a new station, it needs to have a chain through the states. So for example, if the AI has a state 1, a state 3 and a state 4 station, it will first need to build a state 2 station before it can escalate to state 5. You can also force the AI down a level by destroying all state 5 stations. This will effectively reduce the AI to a state 4. Now for the content team, they will continuously create new ships, stations and missiles, which will be implemented throughout the versions. These new ships and stations do no longer give the mod a new version number, they will just be implemented, so you will notice Steam updating your mod more often now and then. Last but not least, there is the design team. They're currently working on the firewall and AI block. The core team has already finished the script for these, so they will be implemented in one of the versions whenever the model is ready. All these features will be implemented between version 0.1.4 and 0.2.0. After the release of version 0.2.0, we're not yet done with this mod, but the features we want to implement then are still too vague to discuss now, so we'll release another roadmap movie once the time is there.